Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to PrepBee. So here we are with another set of VARC, and let's get started with that. So we are going to do one RC and few VA questions in today's session. So let's delve into the RC. So artworks and work of music are offered with the intention that they have attention paid to them. There is a form of music commonly known as muzak, which is not so offered, nor is attention usually paid to it. So they are saying that art and music they are created with the purpose of having people pay attention to them. However, there is a type of music that is called muzak, and that is not meant to be focused on. People don't pay attention to it typically. All right. So where is it played? It is played in factories and other places of work and is intended to aid productive work. It is just intended to help workers focus more and be more productive. So the music is not being paid attention to, but it helps in building your productivity. So by providing a soothing, consistent background of sound, other distractions are eliminated, and so the theory goes, workers can concentrate on what they are doing. So it provides a very soothing background. All the other distractions are eliminated so that workers can concentrate on what they are doing. It is certainly not intended to be listened to, since anyone who paid attention to it would probably not get very much work done at all. So what it is saying that muzak isn't meant to be listened to closely, because if workers start focusing on the music, they might not be able to work effectively. We tend to lose our concentration even when we try to pay attention to the music. And when we do, the music becomes no more than muzak, noise in the background, which we only hear. So it says that when we try to focus on the background music, we often lose focus on the other things. And the music, it just becomes the background noise like the mosaic does. When we do this, we must say that we do not appreciate music in virtue of the qualities it has. So what the author is trying to say is, we tend to lose our concentration when we try to pay attention to the music, because then it will because when we pay attention to the music, what happens is music becomes no more than muzak, that is noise in the background. He is describing muzak as noise in the background, which we just hear. We don't pay very much attention to it. So now, when we really get very deep, we pay deep attention to the music. We do not appreciate the music in the virtue of the qualities it has. To use music as a means to be arousal of personal association is not to use it as an art. In that art is offered with the intention that it be appreciated for qualities for which the creator is responsible. So we need to appreciate it not just as an art. It is not an art that is offered with the intention, but you need to appreciate for the qualities of it for which the creator has created the music. So what does it mean is, if we use music to trigger personal memories or personal emotions, we are not treating it as an art. Art is meant to be appreciated. Art is meant to be appreciated for the specific qualities that the artist has put into it. So we must not use this music to trigger our personal things. We do not hold Tiwari responsible for the fact that his requiem reminds us of a day on the beach at Bogner Regis, since we may be quite willing to admit that there is nothing special about the music which made us form such an association, other than the fact that we heard it on radio on the way. So what the author is trying to say is, we don't blame the composer if the music reminds us of a personal memory, like a beach trip. That connection is just based on our experience of hearing it at that time, not because of the music itself. So the music really doesn't hold that much importance. The connection is just based on the experience that we heard it at that moment of time, nothing more than that. All right. So first paragraph, the author brings into a common form of music, that is muzak, which is not very much paid attention to. It just helps the workers in the factories in their productivity, and it is very calm, very soothing background of noise, so that all the distractions are eliminated and the workers can concentrate on what they are doing. And it says that muzak is not intended to be listened to, because if you do it, then you'll not get any work done. So then the second para says that if we try to pay attention to the music, we tend to lose our concentration. And we need to appreciate music for its qualities, and not for any personal associations. We should not use it as an arousal of any personal associations for it. You should just treat it as an art. You should appreciate for the qualities in that the artist has tried to inbuild in it. And it also says that you do not blame the composer if something reminds you of the personal memory. It is just our own experience of hearing it at that time. And music has nothing to do with the personal memory that you have had. So, uh, next paragraph. Thus, we can say that to use a piece of music as a means of the arousal of personal associations is not to treat as an art. We might wonder whether to do so counts as treating it as music. I have suggested that muzak is not art because it is not offered with the intention that it have attention paid to its feature, but for the same reason it would follow that it is not music. Now, what does the author says? So when we use music to trigger our personal memories, personal associations, we are not treating it as an art. So we could even question if we are treating it as music, because we are focusing solely on the personal associations. So you are not treating it as an art. You are questioning even if you are treating it as a music. So now the author says that the author has said that muzak isn't art because it is not meant to be paid attention to. And because of this, it might not be even considered as a real music. So this is what the author is trying to say about the muzak. It may be necessary to modify an intentional act required for music. So we might need to rethink what it means for something to be considered as music. So if we say that one of the acts must amount to the music being listened to, then muzak is neither art nor music. So if we believe that music must be listened to with attention, then muzak is neither an art nor it is music. If we maintain this view, we have a problem concerning what to classify music. It is distinct from music. We find ourselves in position of implying that all music is an art, since music which is not art also turns out to be music, and for the same reason that it is not art. Very, very similar kind of theme that the author tries to portray with very confusing lines. He just wants to say that if we keep this in view that we cannot classify muzak. It seems very much different from music. We might end up saying that all music is art because if it is not art, if it's then it's not also music. Basically nothing. He's just trying to confuse you. He wants to say that muzak, it is not meant to be paid attention to. Hence, it is not music. It is not an art. And this is the main theme of the entire paragraph. If we say instead that intentional acts need not be listening but hearing, that is, the music must only be heard, we begin to see a new relationship between music and art. So a new relationship between music and art will be established if music is not to be listened to, but just to be heard. Then and then we can get a whole new idea about how music and art are related. All right. Now, Muzak remains a musical form in the light of this revision, yet it is still not considered to be art. So, if we follow by this definition that music need not be listened, it can be just heard, then Muzak will remain a musical form, but it is still not considered to be art. Music, which is normally considered to be art, can be used as muzak, even though it was never intended to be used. So he says that music that is usually seen as an art, he has given the example, that can be still used as background music, even though the purpose was not for this. All right. To use forest requiem as muzak is not to fail to treat it as music, though it is to fail to treat it as art. So using that as background music isn't a failure to treat it as music, but it is a failure to treat it as an art. So basically, it is just trying to describe what muzak is, what music is, what art is, what are the overlapping. They are just using your confusing words, but the main theme remains the same. Now, let's delve into the questions. We begin to see a new picture of relationship between music and art. Which of the following best captures the relationship between music and art mentioned in the sentence? The intentional act of music form is to be heard. So music is art. So long as it can serve the purpose effectively, we'll hold on to it. Let's not take it right away. Next, all music is an art since one of the criteria for treating something as music is that it is created to be listened to. Very wrong. So we just eliminate it. If a piece of music is created to pay attention, then music is art, irrespective of how listeners treat the music. We have problem of irrespective of how listeners treat that music. Then very extreme, so we eliminate this. If we hear a piece of music but do not listen to it, it can still be treated as music but cannot be treated as an art. Very precise, very true. Now, the intentional act of music form is to be heard. So music is art as long as it can serve that purpose effectively. Now, the intentional act of music form is to be heard, but music is art as long so long as it can serve that purpose. This is a quite distortion of fact. So long as it can serve that purpose, it will be considered as music. That is not clearly said. It is just said we can treat it as music, but cannot treat it as an art. So it nothing is here mentioned that here now they are saying that music is art directly, if it can serve that purpose. Hence distortion of facts, and we eliminate this option. Fourth is our answer. Muzak is certainly not intended to be listened to, since anyone who paid attention to it would probably not get very much work done at all. Which of the following describes the logical sequence of the statement? Even though muzak is meant not to be appreciated for its musical virtues, it may have additional functions beyond the utility that it serves. Mozart serves no aesthetic appeal, since someone who pays attention to it for its aesthetic value will suffer a consequence of it. Very does not make sense. So we remove this one. All right. Then the same qualities which make Mozart suitable uh, for being heard also tend to render it incapable of rewarding attentive listening. Okay, we'll keep this. The soothing background that Mozart provides serves no more purpose than aiding the productivity of the workers intentionally listening to it. So first thing, you do not listen to it. It is just background noise kind of thing. So we eliminate it. This is also very has no basis. Now, even though Mozart is not meant to be appreciated for its musical virtues, it may have additional functions beyond the utility that it serves. See, we are not sure of it, right? And hence we are not going to take this. The same qualities which make muzak suitable for being heard also tend to render it incapable of rewarding attentive listening. This is very explicitly given. The idea itself is that it is suitable just to be heard, and hence we mark it as logical consequence. Which of the following can be inferred from the passage except? So you need to say something that cannot be inferred. It is possible to value or appreciate a piece of music works in virtue of qualities which we invent ourselves. It is possible to value or appreciate a music, right? That is when we can infer this. A piece of music which is created for a practical function can sometimes be considered the work of an art. Now, this is not given anywhere, but let's hold on to it. Then works of arts are not always offered with the intention that they remind us. This is very explicitly given. Sometimes the intentions of the music creator are not aligned with how the music is used by its listeners. The beach example is given that if some music reminds you of beach, that does not mean that music creator had that intention, right? So this is also given, and hence second is your option. The statement to use uh, The statement to use for a requirement as music, muzak is not to fail to treat it as music, though it is to fail to treat it as an art is not supported by which other line from the passage. Artworks and works of music are offered with the intention that they have attention paid to them. It is supported that yeah, it should not be paid attention, so it supports Then arousal of personal association is not to use art. Again, same idea is being captured. Intentional acts need not be listening but hearing. Again, this also supports the idea. One of the acts must amount to the music being listened to. Here, the completely opposite idea is given that it should be listened to. And hence, this is your option. All right, fourth is your option. Now, let's go to VA. Let's do some VA now. So you have to logically sequence this. Let's see. The word has since taken on more positive connotations. We cannot start with one because the word is given. So what word it is, we don't know. So one is not your starting statement. And today might be worth putting on your resume as mark of leadership. The term was coined. Which term was coined, we don't know. So even two cannot be your starting statement. The term was coined in a science fiction story about unnaturally empathetic beings that are used to exploit workers. When empath first entered the English lexicon, it was anything but a compliment. So this is introducing the word. So three is your starting statement. Some argue that leaders should exhibit more empathy to help burned out workers after uh, worst of COVID-19. Okay, so three is your starting. Then it also talks about the history. The term was coined in a science fiction story. So after three, you can just associate with two. Uh, so the term was coined, you can write. Then you can just say some argue that leaders should exhibit more empathy uh, to help the burned out workers after the worst of COVID-19. You can say this, and then the word has taken on more positive connotations. And today might even be worth putting on your resume as a mark of leadership. This is just concluding, this is just giving your ending thing that now this word has taken up more positive connotations. It was first a compliment, now it has taken more connotations. So it is summarizing. So 3, 2, 4, 1 is your logical sequence. Let's do this. The four sentences are given again. You have to logically arrange it. Necessarily, these processes mediate people's relation to nation state structures, both ideological and material. So again, these is given, cannot be your starting statement. All right. The purpose of being methodologically cosmopolitan was not necessarily to reject the relevance of the nation state or to emphasize exclusively local and global dimensions, but to show how the local is inscribed within a global context and how global forces shape local outcomes and processes. Okay, we'll hold on to this thought. Beck's strong cosmopolitan tone and his argument for methodological cosmopolitanism urged social scientists to analyze the relational and mobile aspects of social life from local to the global and points in between. Okay, this is your introduction because it is starting that Beck had some strong cosmopolitan tone. So, and he had some arguments in this way. In which way? So see, after three, the two, it can be related because then it actually describes what the arguments were. The purpose of being this is not necessarily to reject the relevance, right? Then it describes the entire thing, and then comes your in this way social analysis can be formed, and then it is concluding or summarizing your entire thing. So then last one aa jayega. Now summary. The rising vaccine skepticism among more educated parents is puzzling for several reasons. First, the more educated are among the most secularized groups, suggesting that religious motivations do not underlie their vaccine skepticism. Furthermore, because of their familiarity with science and modern institutions and greater resources, including cognitive abilities, access to and uptake of information and economic capital, they are generally expected to have more trust in science, scientific products like vaccines, and governmental institutions. It is puzzling to see an increase in vaccine skepticism among more educated parents, since education would have inculcated trust in other areas of scientific products than vaccine. Other areas than vaccine. does not really make sense. Hence, we eliminated. Educated parents should not be against vaccination since it is a product of trusted science and modern institutions which employ significant resources to develop these vaccines. No, educated parents, they should not be against because of their familiarity with science and nothing that it is more trusted and we have significant resources spent on it. And hence we eliminate this. There are reasons beyond religious motivation, lack of familiarity with science, and economic privilege that may explain the rising vaccine skepticism among more educated uh, parents. Then there are many reasons for instances of vaccine skepticism among more educated parents, and some of these may be linked to their secularistic ideas and attitude towards science. No, this is not really given in this para, and hence three is your answer. There are reasons beyond this because educated parents के पास तो है familiarity है, economic privilege है, so there are some reasons that are beyond this. Now again we have to arrange them. Passionate commitment, be it to conquest, creation, or whatever, is itself meaningless. Enter nihilism. The common thread in the literature of existentialists is coping with the emotional anguish arising from our confrontation with nothingness and the expended great energy responding to the question of whether surviving it was possible. In retrospect, it was an antidote tinged with desperation, being because in an absurd world, there are absolutely no guidelines and no course of action is problematic. Their answer was a qualified yes, advocating a formula of passionate commitment and impassive stoicism. So first, the common thread in the literature of the existentialists is coping with the emotional anguish arising from our confrontation with nothingness and the expended great energy responding to the question of whether surviving it was possible. This is giving you idea of your whole paragraph. And then, was it possible? ये question है. Answer is yes. Yes, it is possible, and it is advocating a formula of passionate commitment and stoicism. This is given. Now, but however, in retrospect, now when we retrospect, it is saying that there are no absolutely, there are no guidelines and any course of action is problematic. So then, now what we do, we enter nihilism. So this is your structure, 2, 4, 3, 1. And that is it about VARC for this session. Do let me know if you have any doubts in the comment section and we'll be happy to help. We'll keep posting more such videos. Stay tuned and all the best for your exams. Keep working hard.